Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
And it is day 7 of search, recovery, and cleanup efforts in the Texas Hill Country. Communities, homes, and lives washed away nearly a week ago. We're continuing our team coverage tonight with our Steve Spriester joining us live from Ingram. Steve.
You know, Myra, this is my first chance to get out here to what my family considers sacred ground. Kerrville, Ingram, Hunt, an area that we have come to every June and July to drop our kids off at camp. At least we did for about 10 years. We spent most of our time about 14 miles down from where we are on the other side of Hunt. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but I want to give you literally the lay of the land. This is what you saw up and down the Guadalupe River today. Clumps of trees that are piled up. That's to get them out of the way. It's also to let rescuers know that they've been gone through, that is part of what they don't have to search through. But there is still a lot of work left, and this gives you a good idea of just how much work. This is, 4 feet of debris, all kinds of things, wood and more. I see some cactus in there that have really just swept down that searchers still have to go to. And when I talked about 14 miles from here, where we spent most of the day, it is a place that was to turn and did turn 100 years old on the 4th of July. But this is a birthday they will never forget. At Kreider's Dance Hall, you literally jump off the dance floor into devastation. I talked to Megan and AJ. Megan's family has run Kreider's Rodeo and Dance Hall for 100 years now. AJ is the rodeo announcer. They both have lost people in these floods, but they didn't lose Kreider's. Yes, the water for the very first time was up and into the restaurant. Yes, the rodeo grounds were flooded out, but they wanted to make it clear to everybody that Kreider's is still standing, but also the Hill Country is hurting. Take a listen. Is there still a bit of a sense of disbelief that this has happened?
Oh, well, yeah, I think we're all just living a bad dream at this point that never wakes up, but I mean,
I lost IFB. That is really what they are all talking about, is the rebirth. They say that Kreider's will come back, but think about it. July 4th, 1925, Kreider's started as a benefit for the Hunt School. It started with the fireworks show. It will not end with this flood. That is one thing they want to make sure everybody knows. And you know, the sentiment of wanting to recover, to rebuild, to come back stronger is present all across the Hill Country. We certainly saw that today. From Hunt to Kerrville, to Ingram, to Centerpoint, people are coming together to help clean up businesses providing food and essentials. Many of the people we have spoken to, even those who've lost homes or family, say the spirit of unity is why they are sticking around.
That's why I live in Kerrville. That's why I live in Texas. That's why I live where I live. And yep, good people are hard to find, and when you find a place that's got good people, that's where you want to live. And that's why I plan on rebuilding.
Well, we were deciding to say, well, it's flooded, we're not going to go to work, but just can't sit still.
no.
And thinking about this stuff, that people are out there. So, yeah, we're doing our part.
As for the latest numbers, we just got an update about 30 minutes ago from Travis County. That brings the total number of deaths across the state to 121 people. We are now down to 166 people still missing. A majority of those numbers come from Kerr County. Those numbers have stayed the same today. 96 deaths have been reported there, including 60 adults, 36 children, and at least 161 people are still missing in Kerr County alone. But the search for all those people is very much continuing at this hour. We saw it. We saw the searchers walking up and down the banks of the Guadalupe River. For more on the latest on this effort, let's check in with our Zaria Oates in Ingram. Zaria.
Hey, Steve. Yeah, we're in Ingram, just outside of the Ingram Volunteer Fire Department, where we listened to a press conference just a little bit ago, and they took some questions. Some of those big takeaways were about volunteers. One, if you are planning to come out here and volunteer, like dozens, hundreds even, have already come out and done, make sure you're checking in with either the Ingram Volunteer Fire Department or a local fire department so that they know who you are, where you'll be, and you're accounted for just in case there happens to be any bad weather. Also, this is a no-fly zone for drones. So if you are a civilian in the community and you happen to be flying a drone to either get pictures or help search and rescue efforts, do not fly your drone in this area. They did tell us that they have had at least one incident of a drone flying into a helicopter since the search and rescue efforts have begun. And the last thing, we asked about those code red alerts and what that normal time frame is between requesting a code red alert to go out and a code red alert actually going out. This is what they had to say about that.
Right now, I would ask that if those questions come about, that you give us a little time. We are still grieving. They are still grieving. We don't have the answer to that right now. And I would just ask that you please pray for those first responders and everybody that's down there right now.
And we have been praying for the first responders, praying for the families who have been out here, but we do want answers as to why that happened so late and why so many people weren't notified as early. One of the, I guess, after effects or consequences of everything that's happened is the traffic. It's something that people aren't thinking about. It includes volunteers, it includes first responders, it includes family members who live in this area. If you take a look just behind me, this is the first time that traffic has been moving at a decently regular pace since we got here a few hours ago in Ingram. That's because the Sheriff Stewart was telling me that they actually do a checkpoint and make sure that people who are coming in this area are either first responders or volunteers or actually live here so that the roads aren't oversaturated and people aren't going into areas they aren't supposed to be going to. Now we'll have more about the efforts going on here in Ingram and also over in Center Point coming up tonight on the Night Beat. For now, live in Ingram, I'm Zaria Oates.
All right, thank you, Zaria. You know, she brought it up. Code Red is one of the big question marks that people have been talking about in this whole thing. Code Red is the emergency warning system that's been in place in Kerr County for about 16 years now. And KSAT obtained audio that saw someone was calling, a firefighter calling dispatch to put out a code red Friday morning. It didn't happen until an hour later. Our Dylan Collier has been one of those looking into these questions and asking the tough questions. We know they're not questions that a lot of people want answered right now, but survivors want to know what was happening. Dylan talked to the person that brought the Code Red system to Kerr County. Dylan joins us now live from Ingram. Dylan.
And Steve, John David Trollinger recalls the massive public relations push here in Kerr County to try and get people to sign up for that free program. He says that 1 hour and 12-minute delay on Friday morning was a costly error. As we've been reporting since Tuesday night, a firefighter in Hunt called for a code red at 4:22 a.m. The first text and voice alerts did not begin to go out until 5:34 a.m.
It's the elected officials, you know, it's the county judge and the county sheriff are the ones responsible for notifying the public.
Trollinger says he believes that that was something that was important to county leaders at one point, and then at some point in the last few years, new county leaders lost sight of just how valuable a tool Code Red can be in a situation just like we had Friday morning. We're live in Ingram. Dylan Collier, KSAT 12. Back to you, Myra.
Dylan, thank you. KSAT has learned that tomorrow, President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will be coming to the Hill Country to survey all of the damage there. The President and First Lady will arrive sometime tomorrow afternoon. Exactly when and where the President will be has not been released yet, though. President Trump has pledged to provide whatever relief Texas needs to recover. And some of what's needed to recover is just a period of dry weather and plenty of sunshine for these first responders, Adam.
Yeah, and yesterday, of course, we had a couple of downpours in the Kerrville and Hunt area. Today, completely dry. Tomorrow, another dry day. I mean, a 10% chance. That's one or two little pop-ups potentially in the afternoon. By Saturday, we're up to 30%. And then Sunday, 20%. So basically over the weekend, just isolated or very widely separated afternoon showers between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. Notice tomorrow, even our futurecast, very quiet night, quiet morning. We'll get some sunshine, and then tomorrow afternoon, one or two little pop-ups on the radar screen are possible, but nothing significant and no threat to any flooding tomorrow. I've got a bit of a satellite comparison for you coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Adam. Let's check out traffic on the roads here in San Antonio right now. US 90 at Nogalitos, taking a look around, several different camera views, no major tie-ups out there. The roads seem pretty clear. Traffic moving along during the 6 o'clock commute. You know, since the flood has hit, so many people have been calling and emailing us, asking how they can help people in the Hill Country get back on their feet. Right now, we have a way for you to do just that. KSAT 12 and KPRC out of Houston, plus our parent company, Graham Media Group, and Gray Media have united to launch a donation drive called Together for Texas. All of the funds raised will go directly to on-the-ground efforts in flood-affected areas through the Salvation Army. This will provide things like food, shelter, and financial aid to our Hill Country neighbors who are still struggling. You can scan the QR code here on your screen to make a donation now. Still ahead, so many young lives taken in this flooding disaster, and explaining this to young minds can be especially difficult. Tips on how to talk to kids about this tragedy are still to come. Plus, while questions remain about that code red alert in Kerr County, another county says its use of sirens saved lives. Avery Everett explains more from Comfort next.
Welcome back. Down the river, we have learned in Kendall County, the Comfort Fire Department actually sounded warning sirens the night of the flood, warning people to get out and get out of harm's way. And a lot of people there believe this decision saved lives. Our Avery Everett has more on that. She has an exclusive interview with the Kendall County judge and the emergency operations manager there. She's outside the Comfort Fire Department. Avery, what did they have to say about this siren warning system that they put in place?
Well, Steve, there are two sirens in Comfort, one just down the road at the park and one right above me at the volunteer fire department. So today we learned that on Friday during those 4th of July floods that was the first time, but both sirens were sounded off together. And since the county upgraded its siren system within the last year. So today we got a look at the volunteer fire department inside for the first time. This is where they've been operating out of, one of the stations they've been operating out of. The assistant chief showed us data collected Friday morning through sensors on the Guadalupe River and at Cypress Creek. This information was used to set up a command center at this station by 4:30 in the morning, and it was ultimately used to make the decision to sound warning sirens around 10:30 a.m. on Friday. People here at the Comfort Volunteer Fire Department worked with Kendall County's Emergency Operations Center to notify residents living near the Guadalupe River about the flood. Now they say sounding the alarms and sending notifications kept people alive.
And it worked.
You think it saved lives here?
Well, it moved people, you know, and if the creek would have spiked on us, we would have already been ahead of the creek and the rise. Sure it did. I here in Comfort, I'm sure it did.
So Kendall County also has a wireless emergency notification system. We were told by Kendall County leaders that that was used on Friday and contributed to this whole system of communication that we've seen. Still, the priority here is search and recovery. So far, we've been told that 8 bodies have been found in Kendall County, but they're believed to have all been washed from upstream in Kerr County. As we continue tonight at 10, we'll tell you about our exclusive ride-along with Kendall County leaders who spoke about the decisions that were made on Friday and their continuing operations. Steve and Myra, I'll send it back to you.
Avery, thank you. Steve, thank you as well. We'll check in with you in just a moment. Let's get a look outside with live cam right now. Of course, Adam, we've talked about this. Things downstream, time obviously a factor in that as well. You're taking a look at this view really from space, the difference in satellite imagery that all of this rain has made.
Yeah, and it's the rain really over the past several weeks. Obviously, we didn't want this much in a short amount of time right over the Guadalupe or any area river. But the satellite imagery really shows a stark difference this year to date, this July compared to this time back in 2022. Notice back in 2022 on the left-hand side of your screen, as of this day, we had 5.11 inches of rain. So far this year, this is in San Antonio at the airport, we've had just over 20 inches of rain. Look at the difference in greenery here, especially as you get out west. Now, West Texas is always going to be pretty brown on the satellite imagery and dry. But this is pretty significant here. Look at the changes. Look at the green this July opposed to the same time back in 2022 when it was so significantly dry leading up to it. So this imagery, of course, some of the NASA satellites that are out there, very stark contrast. And overall year-to-date rainfall, looking at it, this year we've had just over 20 inches. This is the most we've had year-to-date since 2016, when we had some flooding issues as well, and that was at 24.2 inches, of course, measured at San Antonio International Airport. Drought monitor is updated. This is last week's, outlined the exceptional drought area, and we obviously saw some improvement. Obviously, this isn't what's important with the lives that are lost and the people that are still missing. But this is the latest data that we have in terms of that situation. Still a little bit of a dent around San Antonio as well in part of the drought. Across the state, just over 20% of Texas considered in drought. Now you look at the rainfall over the past 7 days, and these are astonishing numbers in the hill country. And the white areas are over a foot of rain. I mean, we're talking over a foot, over 20 inches. Just outside of Austin in Travis County and Burnett County there. Look at that, 22 inches of rainfall. That's along the Colorado River where there has been some flooding. Luckily, Lake Travis was pretty empty, just like Canyon Lake was able to catch that big swell of water as it moved in. So still a little bit of energy over Texas, stray shower tomorrow and then isolated afternoon pop-up showers this weekend. But then the big blue H here, upper level high, it's near Florida. That's going to slowly be working its way toward us, and by Monday it's overhead. So I think next week, all of next week, completely rain-free with the dry high sitting right overhead. Kerrville now 89, Bulverde 89, 97, Port SA and Stinson 93, and Floresville and Devine at 94. Now officially at the airport we're at 93. Temps falling down into the 80s pretty quickly here after sunset, and we'll be at 82 by 10 o'clock. Midnight we're down to 79. And then starting the day tomorrow, just like we have for several days, 75 degrees early, near 90 at noon, and then 94 the afternoon high. And that's exactly average for this time of year. And of course, very high humidity. It's going to remain sticky outside. Triple digits closer to Cotulla and especially down to Laredo, but that's the exception. Next week with that sunshine, I think we'll still be in the 90s, Myra. All right, Adam, thank you. Well, this flooding in the Hill Country affected so many things, from taking lives, homes, and community gathering places. Courtney Friedman shows us the damage done to the Hill Country Arts Foundation Community Theater in Ingram and that community as a whole when we come back. You know, the devastation in the Hill Country did not discriminate. It affected just about every aspect of life along the Guadalupe River. Our Courtney Friedman is at a community theater in the heart of Ingram that was flooded during this storm. Courtney.
Yeah, the river is right behind me and the theater is right behind these trees. We're giving the loads of volunteers working on the theater a little bit of space. It gets pretty packed in there because it is so important to this community, a center point, you might say. And to see the spotlights dim on this place after decades of being a place where this community can express themselves, it's been tough for a lot of people here.
You can see the floor has just absolutely collapsed.
Floors that for 66 years have held audiences, actors, but most importantly, neighbors. The indoor theater now so unstable after the floods, you can't even walk inside.
It's hard to look at. Spent many years acting in that theater.
And you're a community theater.
We truly are. Yeah, it's all volunteer. You can be on stage with your dentist sometimes.
As Hill Country Arts Foundation Executive Director Sarah Tacey walked us around, volunteers from all over continued the massive task of cleaning.
And they were here just up to their chins in mud with the rest of us. And they said, we're here for the long haul with you. Back behind us was the box office, our conference room, my office.
This is your office?
Yeah.
Outside and around the corner, a tough one for Sarah.
This is our ceramic studio, and it's less than a year old. The water filled up the building and then just pushed everything out the windows.
Oh, so the water is what broke the windows?
Oh, yeah. And you can see the water line.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like up to here.
Correct.
As we got closer to the river, we saw the outdoor theater.
There's usually walls.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so this was walls that were knocked out?
Oh yeah, this was enclosed.
But Sarah has heavier things on her mind.
We lost a building. It's nothing compared to the loss of life.
And with a community this small, that loss of life has touched them all. The theater Facebook page honoring their beloved members who didn't make it. These people are the reason these volunteers have not stopped working.
And we're trying to honor, the people who loved us that we've lost. We're fixing the things we can and, mourning the things we can't.
I've seen the effort that's been put in here, and I know that you guys will rebuild.
Thank you. Yeah. It's just going to take money.
Yeah. So you're hoping for that help.
We really are. Yeah.
And right before we went into the theater to take that tour with Sarah, she had just met with the insurance adjuster who was walking around the building and told her that the building damage itself, not including all of the equipment inside that they lost, totals $1.2 million at least. So they will have to make that up. But she said with all of the support coming in from across the world, people from other countries in the theater community have already begun donating. She's hoping that they will make that up and those spotlights can shine again on their stages. For now, we're live in Ingram. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News. Myra, back to you.
Yeah, Courtney, that outpouring of support, what so many people in the Hill Country are holding on to right now. Thank you for that. The process of cleaning out flooded homes is just now starting. Families having to go through their destroyed houses, likely throwing out most of what they own. But that's just the start. Tearing out walls and countertops is a task that's too large for a lot of people. Gage Goulding is in Hunt, Texas, one of those hardest hit communities there. Gage, a helping hand coming in when families there really need it most.
Yeah, you and I, we might call that Texans helping Texans, but they're calling it Texas on Mission. That's the name of the group, Texas on Mission. About 24 of their volunteers out here today. They helped clean out 3 different homes just here in this little neighborhood.
We've had crews coming and going.
The last time we talked with Diana Smith, she shared her incredible story of survival, riding out the flash flooding from the Guadalupe River on a kayak with her 2 dogs.
I said a prayer when I was standing on my porch. Both my parents are deceased, and I said, Mom, Dad, God, help.
Days later, finally starting the process to begin rebuilding. An entire workforce tearing apart her home in Hunt, quite literally trying to haul away any sign or memory of a flood, while helping her find those priceless memories.
This is from Heart of the Hills.
Despite feet of water, pictures from her days at camp just down the river, surviving. Meanwhile, nearly everything else in her home didn't.
Of course, this is a mud out operation.
Benny Williams leads a group of professional volunteers that is.
It's free. It was paid for by Jesus Christ.
Texans on Mission has 24 people working on 3 different homes here. On the workforce is a grandfather and grandson from the Houston area.
Well, the reason I really called you Grandpa is because I want you to come with me on this trip. And so I said, well, what can I do? I'm almost 90 years old.
But that isn't stopping him. they're working at Diana's neighbor's house.
And what's incredible about this house is once they were tearing out the walls, above every door frame, they found a Bible verse.
They're just godsends, all of them.
If that writing on the wall isn't a sign, well, I'm not sure what is.
Now the crew starts early every single morning, right? So they're already wrapped up for the day. They will be back tomorrow. They're not just tearing out all the walls and the floor and all that good stuff. They're going to pressure wash the floor, get all that mud and river debris out of there. And then they're also going to even spray a chemical cleaner that helps prevent mold. So really all around service that they're providing here. We're live in Hunt. Gage Golding, KSAT 12 News.
Gage, thank you. So many people so grateful for all of that help out there. Well, still ahead here at 6 o'clock, a man escaped the Hill Country floods, but he lost his 100-year-old Kerrville home. Sarah Acosta shares his story and his hope for recovery after all of this. Plus, this week has been hard on all of us, people across Texas, and that includes children. Still ahead, we're talking with a child psychologist about how to help kids cope and talk about this tragedy. You know, news of the past week has been full of heartache and beyond comprehension for so many people in the Hill Country and really across the entire state. It is tough for adults to bear, and it can be even more so for kids. So how do we talk as adults with our children about what has happened? Joining us now is Dr. Elena Michelson, a pediatric psychologist with Christus Children's, to discuss all this. I appreciate you being here.
Of course.
It has been an incredibly tough week. I told you I had this conversation with my child last night. So what do you think are the best ways to approach a conversation with a kid about this tragedy, and any tips for navigating that?
Well, it depends a little bit on the age of the child. You mentioned you have an 8-year-old, and I think that's probably more vulnerable age. Children age 7 to 10 tend to be naturally worried about the weather. Just yesterday, I had 2 families with children that age. They were worried about thunderstorms and rain, and that tends to be a very common fear at that age. So I think children that age are going to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
If they have heard anything about what happened with the floods. But also, it's been raining for 2 months, you know, so they are naturally worried. So I think they might ask questions. What you want to do is answer questions pretty factually and direct, and just answer exactly what they're asking. Do not give any extra information. Try to keep it to safety. Try to give them your safety plan. If they are asking, they're probably more worried about their safety. They want to know, is the flood going to come here? Is the bad weather going to come here? Is something going to happen to my family? Something going to happen to my home? They've probably heard something about what has happened. There's been a lot of information. Here in this community, we kind of all know somebody at this point.
Yeah,
it just, there's a lot of stories being spread around. We all know somebody somewhere, people are talking. So it may be that they're worried this is going to happen to their family.
Yeah.
Right, so you want to kind of find out if that's behind the questions, and you want to assure them, no, it's not going to happen to your family, we're safe. It also depends on whether they do know somebody that has been affected, and then you probably want to provide a little bit more information about that. Whatever you know, again, keep it to the facts, keep it to just the details that they want to know. Assure them that they're okay, that you are going to keep them safe. Hold them. You know, for younger children, it's very important to hold them, to hug them, and say, I'm here for you. What would you like to know? How can I help you feel safe?
Yeah. What about questions that you don't know the answer to? I mean, there are things that we cannot explain about what happened. Is it, you mentioned, you know, sticking to what you do know. Is it important to acknowledge what you don't know with a child?
I think I would probably just suggest you stick to, again, assuring them of their safety and saying, you're okay, I'm here with you. I will keep you safe, because that's ultimately what children want. They want to know you're there for them and you will be there for them. And we have a plan. It's okay. I'm here for you. I will keep our family safe.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the fact of life is we often can't know all the answers, right? And they kind of need to know, but you will be there for them when something bad happens. And I think that's what most children want to know, is that you will be there and you will figure it out. I like to tell parents, tell the children it's not their worry to think about safety and weather and bad things happening, you will take on that worry for them, right? They need to worry about school, they need to worry about, you know, their chores, clean their room, seeing their friends, those types of things. You will worry for them, you will take care of them.
Yeah, you mentioned that schedule and routine are very important when dealing with something like this. Why is that?
Life is a lot more predictable for children if they know what they're doing, if they can keep to their normal routines. If you start keeping them away from things, if you start being more relaxed in their routines, they start wondering what's wrong. Why is this happening? Why do we have to do things differently? Is something scary about to happen if we're going to change things? Is something bad going to happen to my family if suddenly everything changes? So it's very important to reassure them that nothing is dangerous happening. This is why they still have to go to camp. This is why they still have to do their summer reading. This is why they still have to do their chores. So we try to advise when scary things happen that you keep them to the same routine, you have the same expectations, you have the same rules, do not change their routines around. That way they have safety, that way they have predictability that they need, and all children need that.
Yeah. Before we wrap up here, I just want to ask, are there any signs that parents should watch out for if they feel like, okay, my child may need more help than I can provide? It may be time for us to seek a professional.
I would look for signs with weather type of anxiety, especially of them not wanting to go outside and not wanting to do things with their friends. Those are the two main things that we see. Is suddenly they're staying away from the windows, they don't want to go out. Oh, it's a little bit dark outside, so I'm not going to go out, I'm not going to play. Those are some of the big ones.
Dr. Elena Michelson, Christus Children's, I appreciate you being here. These conversations are happening, and they'll continue to happen, I know, for quite some time in our community. So it's important info. Thanks for being here. All right, still ahead here at 6 o'clock. So many families have lost everything in the Hill Country flood. Sarah Acosta talking to one man whose 100-year-old home is no longer standing, and he hopes to get help from FEMA. Nearly a week after the devastating floods in the Hill Country, we are still hearing stories of survival. Sarah Acosta met a man whose home in downtown Kerrville was just swallowed up by the Guadalupe River. His 100-year-old home destroyed, and now he is hoping that FEMA can help. Sarah walks us through that damage.
This stuff used to be inside of Wayne's home, and a few feet behind this is where his wife nearly drowned after she fell and broke her shoulder trying to get to safety. Wayne showed us what's left of his home. You know, as we're talking right now, there's people moving debris and looking for people.
Yep.
Right here in front of your property, and you guys were able to get out. It's heavy.
Everything about this is heavy. Everything.
Wayne Donahue says this home has been in his wife's family for 100 years. He just finished remodeling it over the past 5 years. And now this. Water came almost waist deep into his house, flushing it out just as he and his wife, his stepson, and dog Sassy barely made it out. You guys survived.
Yep. By a hair. We survived by a hair. But we're alive.
And now he is trying everything to save his beloved home. It's why he was the first in line Thursday when FEMA opened its doors to the flood survivors.
I dumped everything into the house, money-wise, and so I had no insurance.
This is gonna take...
Well, yeah.
Are you determined to try to save this property?
Yes. It's been in the family, you know, it's my responsibility. Keep it there. God can't explain why it happened, you know. Everybody's praying for rain, and we got it.
Wayne says he is thankful for everyone that has stepped up to help, like the 100 people from the Kerrville Church of Christ that helped gut what is left of his house to see if it can be saved once it dries out.
God's putting people in front of me as I need them, so he's working.
He still has a lot on his plate. His 87-year-old wife, Caroline, will be in rehab as she heals from her shoulder surgery after she fell into the water. And he's going back and forth from his house and the bed and breakfast that was donated to them in Lukenbach, and now FEMA to help get some assistance.
My first priority is my wife, my family. And then here.
Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News.
Sarah said it in that story. It is just all so heavy. And, you think about, Adam, we've talked about everything that was destroyed, but those homes that are now just being gutted, right? The things that need to be repaired.
Yes.
That goes a long way in Kerrville.
It does. And that cleanup effort takes a lot of muscle and manpower because everything is soaked and caked in mud. And it's arduous work, and even working on a slippery floor because of all the mud makes it that much more challenging to do when the cleanup efforts. Tomorrow, 1 or 2 little pop-up showers. Don't pay attention to exact location. Just keep in mind a few brief ones tomorrow afternoon, but only about 10% of us would see a quick little splash and dash. Talk more about the weekend and the rain chances in a bit. I want to give you another timeline of events from July 4th morning, and I know we were talking about sirens in Kendall County and all that, so just look at the times, though, too, which play an important role. Hunt crested 37 feet, 5:10 a.m. Kerrville, 6:45 a.m. at 37 feet. Comfort was at 11 a.m. at 35 feet, and I point that out because, yes, sirens may have helped, but they also got a lot of warning from folks upstream, and it also came at a time of day when people were already awake. And I would also argue not quite as much recreation along the Guadalupe in Kendall County. So sirens, yeah, they probably helped a bit, but also it was a time where people were able to get that warning better. Notice by 4:45 a.m. on the 5th, 30 feet at Spring Branch. All right, let's talk about our forecast going forward. Tomorrow, a lot like today, a lot of sunshine, some patchy clouds, 94 in the afternoon. By Saturday, we're talking a 30% chance of showers. So basically isolated or widely separated between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. and very similar on Sunday in the afternoon, kind of like what we had the past couple of days. Some of those pop-up downpours, which could drop a quick 1 to 3 inches of rain. In terms of flooding, potentially on some streets, and that's about it. Next week, upper level high, the big blue H, it's back, not bringing triple digits, but it's back, and it's going to keep us high, dry, sunny with temperatures in the mid to upper 90s. All right, Myra, we're going to be putting the thermthers on hold for a little bit here, but I did notice today that, our friends at Cowboys Air Conditioning and Heating, who make Thermometer Thursday possible, as does not surprise me with Big Al and Diane and all their family. They loaded up their trucks with donations from people from other companies, and they made their way up to Kerrville and dropped off a ton of equipment and supplies for the folks up there. And I want to try to find a way where my thermometers could help some people affected. It's always, auction some off. But but where does that go? What does it do? Yeah. I've made some in the past, they're to remember folks by or whatever. So coming down the pike here in the next few weeks, I'll need some help, but I want to come up with ways where we could, whether it's Rebel to Relic or just a way to remember how you may have lost a loved one, if I can help with my craft, right? Yeah. So
I think that's what everybody's doing, whatever their talent is, whatever their treasure or talent is, figuring out how they can channel that into a way to help. I'm sure we'll get some leads on that. Thanks, Adam. All right, let's take a look at what's on ABC Primetime tonight. Coming up after this show, it is Celebrity Family Feud at 7 o'clock, then 2 hours of Press Your Luck. Finally join us back here after that at the Night Beat at 10. In the aftermath of the flooding, a lot of people affected are now missing important documents, things like driver's licenses, IDs, and social security cards. That's why the Kerr County Sheriff's Office is trying to make it a bit easier for folks to replace those Texas IDs or driver's licenses. The department posted on social media that all Kerr County residents need to do is go to Kerrville's Department of Public Safety office and let staff there know that they have been impacted by the floods. That office is on 311 Sidney Baker South, and no appointment is necessary. Another thing flood victims might be missing right now, their glasses or contacts. There's help for that too. Texas State Optical in Kerrville is offering free replacements for prescription glasses, contacts, and eye medicine for flood victims and first responders. Eye Care San Antonio also offering free prescription glasses replacements. Just show your ID to staff showing that you live in an area that's been impacted by these floods. We have contact information for both of those businesses right now on our website at ksat.com. We'll be right back.
All right, looking at our weather patterns, still a little bit of rain making energy over Texas, but you see the big blue H, the upper level high, not a very strong one, but it's going to be headed westward and it's going to settle overhead by Monday and stick around for all of next week. So all of next week, sunny, quiet, high and dry. The highest rainfall potential is really up in the Panhandle and West Texas, and not just the next 7 days, but really that's through the weekend for the most part. That's where most of the rain will be falling. Around here, we have a 30% chance Saturday afternoon, so brief downpours then, as well as Sunday.
Thanks, Adam. And thank you for watching the news at 6. We'll see you back here for the night beat.